Trump's big, beautiful bill is already boosting renewable stocks like NextEra, and we could see Aussie commodities ablaze, while US casinos such as Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts are surging after Macau revenue has rocketed up in June. My name's Jessica Amir, a market strategist here with Mumu. It's great to have your company on this second day of July. Happy Wednesday. So US investors kicked off the second half of the financial year, or the second half of the year rather, rotating out of big tech stocks such as Tesla and Nvidia, which both fell heavily. Tesla down 5%, Nvidia down 3%. While investors are moving out of big tech, they're going into small caps and clean energy. Now, these are the very two categories that are expected to benefit from the One Beautiful Bill Act expected to pass Congress. We also saw the US dollar maintain its lowest levels since 2022, while Bitcoin has continued to decline. It's now peeled back in total about 5% from its record all-time high. As for bond yields, they have crept up ever so slightly, and this is because traders are now being slapped, I guess, in the face with a surprise lift in job openings. That's basically serving as a reminder as, hey, you probably should not expect the Fed to cut rates. In terms of stocks making big moves, though, let's just focus on those and bring them to your attention. So Tesla, their shares moved considerably lower overnight, but what's even more alarming is that their shares are now down 15% in 6 days. They're now at $300.71. There you go. Have a look at their chart. Picture tells 1,000 words, doesn't it? No surprises, but Tesla has been under pressure for many reasons. One of those is expectations of deliveries expected to decline again in the quarter. The number that we're expecting, the street is expecting, is 389,400 for total deliveries next quarter. That would be a 12% drop year on year, following the 13% drop that we saw year on year last quarter. Plus, there's also concern about Trump's bill slicing into Tesla. But on the positive, there's always a positive story for Tesla, which is why it's one of the most volatile stocks in mega caps. It is the most volatile stock of them all in terms of the NASDAQ 100 stocks, that is. Options are now tilting bullish. So this is a real positive skew for Tesla's story now. So Tesla shares overnight, they are lower, but the options pricing are now suggesting that we could see a huge turnaround in Tesla's shares. I just want you to consider this. So bear with me. So bets have now picked up that Tesla will get back to $320. In fact, there is 19,436 options contracts out there. That's the biggest amount of options contracts out there for Tesla, expiring on July 18, now expecting their shares to surge back to $320. That is obviously a very bullish scenario given that Tesla hit $300 overnight. This means sentiment could turn around. And why could things turn around for Tesla? Well, we just saw in early trade this morning, Reuters came out saying that Tesla sales actually rose in Norway and Spain. So that is, again, supporting the bullish turnaround narrative story for Tesla. The other positive is that Elon Musk has said that he will step into the head of European and US sales roles after Omid Shvar, apologies for mispronouncing that. He has exited the group, and Tesla's CEO and founder will be taking over the reins of head of European and US sales, which is a big deal. So that is something for you to consider that supports Tesla shares perhaps turning around. Keep an eye on Tesla. Meanwhile, we spoke about Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts being some of the best performers overnight. Let's just bring that into the fold now. Just bringing that onto the screen. For those that are tuning in on the podcast, we can see all of the casino operators considerably higher. Well done to you if you backed into those. So they were the biggest performers overnight in the S&P 500. a jump of 9% for Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts, while we saw MGM also on the screen, their shares moving up 7%. Of course, the reason for this is not because any of them reported, but in fact, Macau's Gaming Inspection and Coordination Bureau came out showing the gaming revenue rocketed up 19% in June. So put that on your pipe and smoke it. That is very good news. I guess this means that the Chinese consumer is roaring back into the casino, and some of that stimulus for the Chinese consumer is definitely making its way to the back pockets of the Chinese consumer, which are the biggest contributor to the group of revenue that we're seeing on the screen. So that goes without saying. But perhaps the biggest news overnight was about the big, beautiful bill, colloquially known as the Tax and Spend Bill. It passed the US Senate. Hurrah. And so now we're waiting for the lower house to approve that, or the House of Representatives. But investors are really focused on potential benefactors of this passing through. In fact, you could even say that many believe that it will be passed into legislation. So this is perhaps why we're seeing wind and solar companies roar up. And overnight, a really crucial milestone actually occurred. We saw taxes on these projects actually be removed from the bill. This is a huge deal. What it basically means is we could see a very big pickup, a material pickup in renewable energy demand and obviously revenue. And that implies also greater potential demand for commodities such as all the commodities needed to build out wind and solar. So think about steel, copper, aluminium, and critical minerals such as nickel. This is a win for Australia. So in response, let's just talk about one of the stocks that moved up considerably overnight. NextEra, flashing that up on the screen. NextEra jumping 5.2%. This is really worthwhile pointing out because its market cap is $150 billion. How much is that in Aussie dollars, you ask, Jessica? Well, great question. I'll give you the answer. 240 bill Aussie dollars. That means that this stock on the screen, NextEra, would be the biggest company on the ASX, towering over CBA and towering over BHP, that are our biggest number 1 and 2 companies in market cap. CBA's got a market cap of 203 bill, BHP 122 bill. So the company on the screen, NextEra, could be worth you watching that, but also keep an eye on the solar ETF, the Investco Solar ETF. That gained about 3% overnight. And the iShares Global Clean Energy ETF, that has largely been underperforming over the last several years, but it rose ever so slightly overnight, up 0.8%. All in all, expect global renewable energy sector to get a sentiment boost. But today, the Aussie share market is expected to nudge up and extend this week's gain. So far, over the past couple of trading days, we've seen the Aussie market rise up about 0.3%. Earlier, the futures were suggesting the Aussie market would nudge up 0.5%. But I do think we need to be cautious that bank stocks are looking a little bit overbought. They're showing signs of selling pressure picking up. We spoke about that yesterday. But I also think you should keep an eye on Bitcoin exposed stocks. So think about the biggest Bitcoin exposed stock down under on the ASX, and that's Block. It trades as XYZ, doesn't it, though? They've changed their names more times than you can probably change your underwear in a given week. So Block is probably going to face some pressure, and that's because the Bitcoin price is down about 5% from its record all-time high, though. But do keep an eye on Block, though. We are expecting, or I am expecting, a material pickup in revenue. So that is something for you to consider. On the upside, obviously, expect commodities to gain serious attention, given what we've spoken about with clean energy stocks gaining a run, and that big, beautiful bill likely to pass through US legislation. It's great to have your company. For all the stocks and ETFs mentioned, I'd encourage you to go to the description section on YouTube, and you'll find hyperlinks straight to the platform so you can find all the detail that you need to be across. Thank you for your company.